of all human desire, freedom. Blessed with what has been described as enviable human and natural resources, the new kid on the block was considered a threat by those who appreciated its potential. Basking in confidence, which became its drawback, this promising nation at birth, though has survived, is still learning the ropes of survival in adulthood. The reality of Nigeria at 56 is one in recession, one caused by mismanagement of everything that should have lifted it into prominence. With foreign exchange from its cash cow, crude oil, and critical shortage, the economy was shaken. Those who have been down that road say there is hope for Nigeria, a revival anchored on good governance which Nigerians could benefit from. What is the way out of Nigeria's current recession as it marks 56 years of existence? That's our focus on Dateline 360 this week. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on this platform. I'm Hawa Salihu Adama. It's Dateline 360. Thanks for rejoining us as the Dateline 360 crew unfolds the current reality in Nigeria and a sectoral analysis of the way out of the recession. Abdullahi Garba Kudu leads the pack this week with an insight into the challenges which he says his findings shows are basically self-inflicted.
Once upon a time, it has been documented in history that Nigeria was rich, abundant in all consumable items. You remember the pyramid in Kano, the cocoa in the southwest, the palm oil in the southeast. But what went wrong? After the oil boom, this turned out to be an albatross. Virtually, Nigeria importing everything to the country. Perhaps these are artificial problems many believe led Nigeria to its present socio-economic challenges. Nigeria is the most populous black nation with abundant natural and human resources of friends who excel in whatever capacities they find themselves beyond the shores of the land, yet has not found it easy converting these resources maximally for the benefit of its citizenry. Yes, the country has oil, which has over the years boosted its tax revenue and led to increase on job creation, but over-dependence on this product remains a major setback. Apart from resulting in the neglect of vibrant sectors such as agriculture, mining and solar minerals development, the oil boom has turned into doom with the fluctuation of oil prices at the global market.
You don't need a rocket scientist to explain that extreme dependence on one commodity is bound to be a problem. And don't forget that when the Ajakuta iron and steel complex, a larger complex, was developed over 30 years ago, the idea was to move along the path of industrialization. Subsequent administrations, however, did not pursue that path, and we found ourselves 40 years later, 50 years later, still facing the same problems that we have had and we have known about for a very long time.
Importation of materials, instead of looking inwards to develop what you have.
For those following historical antecedents, say Nigeria experienced similar economic recession in the 80s with high government spendings, and the country's debt profile rose from 3.3 billion naira to 14.7 billion naira, with corruption at the order of the day. Although they believe the current economic challenge is not peculiar to Nigeria, it is a fact that issues of continuity in policy implementation and revival of neglected sectors such as agriculture must be looked into.
We have to go back to the land. Is the one source which the Almighty has given us, both in terms of size, in terms of weather, rains, and sunshine, and other things which enable you to create wealth.
The effect of the recession, the global recession, will have been very limited on Nigeria than it currently is. as many said, we didn't save for the rainy day. And everybody should anticipate that at point, nothing lasts forever. The only thing that is permanent in life is change.
On rediscovery itself, the consensus is that Nigerians must take responsibility for their destiny and regard nation building as a collective task. To analysts, Nigerians as a people must go back to the land, avoid politicization of national issues, and above all, attitudinal change.
If we have to change as a nation and be reckoned with, the change must begin with every one of us, starting from obeying as simple traffic rules.
Well, however, 56 years back, successive administrations have tried their best in putting the country's economy on the right track and providing a clear direction for the country. But this will remain a dream until when the country diversifies its economy and also explore abundant human and material resources in the country. That is when the country will get its rightful place in Africa as a giant of Africa and beyond. Reporting for Deadline 360, Abdullahi Garba Burnoku.
Well captured, I'd say, Abdullahi, which is what Ruben Okala tries to explore in the next report, going back to the basics. Looking inwards, patronizing homegrown initiatives rather than act as a dumping ground for other countries. Ruben?
That popular saying that necessity is the mother of invention is beginning to have effect on Nigeria for good, with more patronage and attention being given to made in Nigeria products. Observers say this could be what the country has been waiting for, to be self-sustaining in the face of recession.
Sights and sounds like these are beginning to resonate, courtesy the ingenuity and creativity of Nigerians. These were at one of the Made in Nigeria product events to exhibit the stuff. Recent commitment through creativity and ingenuity by these Nigerians has shown that the country has all it takes to be counted among Committee of Nations in all spheres of development.
People came with Nigeria-made vehicles that a man from Bida used wood to do the vehicle. And we now ask that why, if government should come to his aid and give him the things that he needs to do the real vehicle that we can use, it means Nigeria will have a vehicle, probably Nigeria. And people came with from shoemaking factory in Nigeria to spice making, a lot of things. And we saw so many things that if government can come to their aid, it means we'll be able to boost the economy from that micro level.
With me here is Andrew Etim. He owns a shop called shoeplanet.com.ng. Please tell us more about your shop and why you decide to go 100% made in Nigeria.
I'm holding this pair of loafers in my hand. We have done this shoe with the highest quality of leather in the market. This shoe is going to guarantee you at least 2 years.
How much is it?
This one I'm holding in the hand, we can do this one 4,000 naira.
Do you think Nigeria has all it takes to be self-sustaining in the face of recession?
Yes, it's not just what we have. But in this country, we are underutilizing the human capital we have in this country. We should not be importing things inside this country.
Some say since agriculture is the highest contributor to the nation's gross domestic product GDP and also the highest employer of labor, it should be encouraged to the fullest.
I believe that if we look inward and patronize what we have in Nigeria, it means this recession wouldn't have happened at all. But since we find ourselves in this situation now, what we can do is to make sure we carry out advocacy, which I think is a continuous process, that people should patronize made in Nigerian products. That way the pressure on Naira will be reduced.
However, if made in Nigeria products must fly to salvage the situation, standards must be adhered to.
So if somebody is wearing this shoe, Nobody is going to look at you and say your dressing is not complete. So the change begins with me. It has to incorporate us valuing what we have.
From the foregoing, who said Nigeria cannot be self-sustaining. However, analysts say what is required is commitment by the players of the industry and the political will from the political class. For Dateline 360, I am Ruben Okala reporting.
Ruben, for political will, many would say it is on but needs to be improved upon. Individual attitude to buying Niger is a collective role that must be driven with all sense of responsibility. Now, still talking about looking inwards, Nigeria is amongst few countries of the world with amazing sights and history that, if fully harnessed, could turn it into every tourist destination. Yet, its citizens compete amongst each other in selecting countries to spend annual vacations. Lokoja in north-central Nigeria is one area that holds a lot of tourist potential for Nigeria. What is the situation in this confluent city? Over to Solomon Ayedehi for the Situation Report.
Tourism is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. It is a sector which both the developed and developing nations are actively prospecting to further their economic growth. The United Nations statistics have revealed that tourism is currently the second largest foreign exchange earner for the developing countries, Nigeria inclusive. Described as Museum of Colonial History and Tourist Haven, Kogi State ranks among the richest states in the country in terms of historic relics and monuments, natural tourist features, as well as colorful festivals. From the natural existence of the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue to Mount Patti, which is about 1,500 feet above sea level, and other heritage sites, Kogi State is richly endowed. Evidences of colonial administration and control of Nigeria, headed by Lord Lugard, dating back to the 18th century, also abound in Lokoja. They include the Iron of Liberty, which is the sport that symbolizes the abolition of slave trade, the World War Cenotaph, the spot where the Royal Niger Company flag was lowered, and the Union Jack flag hoisted in January 1st, 1900.
Behind me is Kogi State Government House. It was the seat of government when Lord Lugard administered Nigeria in 1914.
Others are the first primary school in northern Nigeria, Lord Lugard's rest house on Mount Patti, and the European cemetery. The list also includes the Lord Lugard Senior Staff Quarters, now housing the National Museum, Lokoja Club, built in 1901, as well as tombs of emirs of Funtua Toro, late emirs of Zaria, Bida, and Kano, as well as the first prison and bank in northern Nigeria, among others.
It was at this point on Mount Patti that a British journalist, Flora Shaw, who later became Lord Lugard's wife, observed and named Nigeria, coined from Niger area.
However, these tourism potentials have remained largely untapped and underdeveloped, making employment and revenue generation from the sector insignificant over the years.
Some of our cultural festivals are internationally recognized, and I talk quickly of the boat regatta in Ira, the Dambit festival you to have in Lokoja, and of course the OVSS. These are age-long traditional festivals that can be commercialized.
A lot are yet to be even identified in villages. A lot of colonial relics in villages. A lot of caves where our fathers lived and defended themselves militarily in the past. A lot of market sites, a lot of burial sites, a lot of bridges, a lot of roads, a lot of mountains and hills that are sacred and relevant to the history and culture of the people. So all these things we have to have a master plan to bring them together.
Stakeholders say they can be developed to attract huge and sustainable revenue generation from local and foreign visitors.
Let's develop whatever we are doing to international standard for our people. And then the foreigners will come, or outsiders will come, international tourists will come.
And of course, government should partner with private sector.
Kogi State government and investment experts say the state is sitting on potentials capable of turning around the fortunes of the state and reduce dependence on federation allocation.
Well, the fact remains that the potentials are on ground and they are capable of boosting the economic base of Kogi State if properly harnessed. So, we look forward to a future that these potentials will translate to wealth for the good people of Kogi State. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayede.
Very well, Solomon. With state governments left with no choice than to boost their IGR profile, experts are of the view that the Kogi state government may already have a gold mine waiting to be explored in the current administration's divine mission to rescue the state. And closely linked to tourism development is the solid minerals sector, which despite the abundance of rich minerals, has remained basically on paper. With recent steps pointing to political will to make the sector occupy center stage in government's diversification drive, we asked Dakpo Daramola in Ondo State, southwest Nigeria, to examine the promise which bitumen found in large quantity in the area holds for Nigeria's future.
According to experts, bitumen is a type of heavy crude which can be found in Nigeria's coastal area, stretching over several kilometers from the Niger Delta region to Ogun and Lagos states. Bitumen was discovered over 100 years ago, while intensive research spanning over 40 years was carried out following the sinking of the first oil well in 1907 at Agbabu, an agrarian community in Odigbo local government area of Ondo State, southwest Nigeria.
I will call it heavy crude oil. And all that you get from oil, the light crude from the oil fields in River State, in Akwa Ibom State, in Bayelsa and Rivers and Edo State, you can also get it from the bitumen. It's just that it's it's more viscous.
Bitumen is a resource that holds high prospect for the development of the country. However, experts believe that there are a lot of hurdles that have to be crossed before we can get the resource for use in the country.
It's a big job creation industry. A lot of jobs will be created, and opportunities for all manners of professionals, not only engineers, not only petroleum engineers, even people who sell sachet water who have their own opportunities there. Even people who sell clothes who have their own opportunities.
Between year 2000 and 2003, some major developments took place, including the groundbreaking ceremony of bitumen. However, 13 years down the lane, activities are stopped due to a number of reasons.
So we completed the environmental baseline studies, so there's more compensation to pay, and people's expectations have been heightened.
So there is a need to further researches into this thing, conclude reports, demarcate the areas, and then start to think of the pilot projects that we can put in place.
Under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, solid mineral development falls under the exclusive legislative list, which makes the federal government the sole authority to exploit bitumen. With the worsening oil price globally, the present administration is freeing the sector from all encumbrances.
The entire bidding process that we're going to put in place would have resulted in specific allocation of blocks to the most serious players.
With an estimated 42 billion barrels of bitumen deposit in Nigeria, the country appears set to diversify our economy with a view to emerging as one of the largest bitumen producers in the world. In Akure, Dakpo Daramola, reporting for Dateline 360.
A critical analysis of what Nigeria will benefit as one of the largest bitumen producers can only be imagined, considering the developmental challenges, especially in road construction. And to a last report this week, which many say is Nigeria's new oil, the agriculture sector. After several years of neglect, the realization is that self-sufficiency first in food production is critical. We now hand you over to Musa Baba Aliyu for an update on how this sector is being repositioned to bring Nigeria out of the woods.
We have some programs that are starting now on rice production. And food safety and hygiene is paramount in any program that we are implementing that deals with the production and handling of food items.
Currently, the federal government, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, is rolling out robust reform programs across its agricultural sector aimed at cutting the country's dependency on food imports, creating jobs and generating growth, as well as revamping the sector. The government intends to prioritize improving productivity into a number of domestically focused crops and activities. To this end, priority is being given to the production of rice, wheat, maize, fish, dairy milk, soya beans, poultry, horticulture and sugar. The government will also prioritize for export markets the production of cowpea, cocoa, cashew, cassava, including starch chips and ethanol, ginger, sesame, oil palm, yam, beef and cotton.
One of the most critical components of that plan is to position agriculture as the arrowhead of our economic recovery efforts. There's no question at all that if we get agriculture right, we will get our economy right.
Food security, according to FAO, obtains when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life.
Project 1037 is a plan we have to build at least 10 earth dams in every state in the next 3 years. So the 36 states plus FCT. We are anticipating a climate situation where rainfall may become scanty. And we are saying that whether there is rain or not, we should be able to feed ourselves through irrigation.
Feelers indicate that 2018 is a target year for domestic self-sufficiency in critical staples like rice, maize, sorghum and soya beans. The expectation is that Nigeria regains her position as an agricultural powerhouse again. Thanks, Musa. Central as it continues to be, the most valuable resource if Nigeria must move forward today is no longer oil. After 56 years piloted by 13 exceptional leaders and still at a crossroad, the consensus on getting out of the woods is unlearning bad habits from the past as government restructures the economy, which is central to the drive for change. A change which commentators have stressed must start with the individual commitment to focus only on what is central to human existence. In other words, value reorientation is a must. On getting out of the recession, you can send us your comments, questions and suggestions on Deadline 360 at nta.ng or tweets at NTA News Now. Thanks for keeping this date. Remember, let the change begin with you. Many thanks and bye for now.